Notes 4.6 are on finding equations of lines. This is the second day of notes on this topic. So question number 1 says find the equation of a line that passes through -4, 7, and 4, 5. And then it asks us to graph the line. So the first thing that we need to do is ask ourselves, how many things do I need to know in order to find the equation of a line? Well, you should know that we need to find the slope and we need to find the y-intercept because we always have to find the equation in terms of y equals mx plus b. All right, so I look at the problem and I ask myself, do I know the slope? Does it tell me what the slope is? It does not tell me what the slope is. It only tells me 2 points that it goes through. Does it tell me the y-intercept? No, it doesn't tell me that either. So what I need to do is I need to find both pieces of information. Well, we know how to find the slope if I have 2 points. Remember, the formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is something you guys have gotten good at. So this means that the slope is going to be 5 minus 7 over 4 minus -4. Now, this minus negative, remember, turns into positive. So 5 minus 7 turns into -2. 4 plus 4 turns into 8. Now, you have to ask yourself, can you divide 2 by 8 evenly? Unfortunately, you can't, so you would need to reduce it. Well, when you divide -2 by 8 and you reduce it, they're both divisible by 2, so your slope would end up being -1/4. So now I know what the slope is. It's no longer a mystery. Okay, so now I need to figure out, how do I find the b? Well, I know the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. And I know, so here's step 1. Now we're moving on to step 2. And I know that the slope is -1/4. But I don't know what the b is. So I can use either one of my coordinates here to figure out what the b is. I can either use this coordinate or that coordinate. It is 100% your choice. So if I decide to use 4, 5, that's one of my coordinates, then instead of y, I'm going to replace it with 5. So I get 5 equals -1/4. And then instead of x, I'm going to replace it with 4 plus b. Okay, so I end up getting 5 equals 1/4 of 4 is 1, so this is -1 plus b. All I need to do now is add 1 to both sides, so you end up getting b equals 6, because 5 plus 1 is 6. So this right here means that b is 6. Now that I know what m is, and I also know what b is, I have my equation of my line. So my equation, step 3, write out your equation, is going to be y equals -1/4 x plus 6, because this is my m right here, and this is my b. Okay? Now, I want to show you what would happen if you chose to use a different coordinate instead of 4, 5. Okay, so now I'm going to find out what the equation of the line is going to be, but instead of using 4, 5, I'll use the other coordinate, which was -4, 7. So I'm going to use -4, 7. See how this is my other coordinate right here? So I'm going to use -4, 7 instead of 4, 5. So instead of y, I'm going to say 7. Instead of m, I'm going to plug in -1/4, and then I'm going to multiply it by -4 plus b. Okay? Now 1/4 of 4 is still 1. The double negatives cancel each other out, so you get +1 plus b. Subtract the 1 from both sides, you still end up getting 6 equals b. So it doesn't matter which way you do it, you'll still get the same coordinate, or sorry, the same y-intercept. So you can choose either coordinate that you want. Now that you know the equation, you can go ahead and graph it out. So the y-intercept, or the starting point, is 6. So I'm going to start at 6, and then I'm going to go down 1. The slope is -1/4, so the rise is -1. So I'd go down 1, and then I would go over to the right 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I can put a dot there. Now I'm running out of room. I can't go down 1 into the right 4 anymore. So I can go the opposite direction. I could have a +1 over a -4. So I could go up 1 and to the left 4. And here's my other coordinate right here. connect your dots, okay? And then you need to make sure that you are making your line have arrows, okay? And you also need to make sure that you write your equation on the line. So y equals negative 1/4 x plus 6. Now, here's the thing. It says that it has to go through the points negative 4, 7, and 4, 5. So let's look and see if that really happened. Negative 4, 7 is to the left 4 and up 7. So here's negative 4, 7. It went through that point, okay? And then 4, 5 is to the right 4 and up 5. It also went through that point. So I know I'm good to go for this question because the line went through both points. All right, number 2 says find the equation of a line that passes through 5, 8, and 5, 1. This one's trickier, so make sure you really understand what it is that I'm talking about here. So you need two things. You need the slope and you need the y-intercept. So let's find the slope. Well, the formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? Now, in order to figure this out, I'm just going to plug in my information. So I would end up getting 1 minus 8 over 5 minus 5. Well, 1 minus 8 is negative 7. 5 minus 5 is 0. Now, we talked about what happens if you divide by 0. It's impossible. You cannot divide negative 7 into 0 pieces. So that means that we have an undefined slope. Well, if the slope is undefined, it means that the line is vertical. If a line is vertical, it does not have a slope, and it never will cross the y-axis unless it is the y-axis. So there's no y-intercept either. So the question is, what is the equation of my line? What I'm going to do instead for this problem right here is I'm going to graph out the points first and see what ends up happening. So if I were to graph out the point 5, 8, and I apologize, I understand that 5, 8 does not fit on your graph. So you would go to the right 5 and you would go up 8. It only goes up to 7. So just put a dot approximately where you think it should be. And then the other point that it goes through is 5, 1. So we're going to put a dot right at 5, 1. And then we're going to connect our line. Okay. So your graph would end up looking like this right here. So I'm going to connect my line right here. This is my line, and it makes sense that it's vertical because the slope was undefined. Now, the question is, what is the equation of my line? Well, this might make a little bit more sense to you if you actually write the coordinates down, and we talked about this a little bit last video. This line right here is this point right here is 5, 1. This point right here is 5, 8. I'm going to just now randomly choose random points on the line. This point right here is 5, negative 3. This point right here is 5, negative 6. Now, if you notice, every single coordinate right here, let's do this one right here. Every single coordinate has something in common. And what it has in common is the x value. No matter what, the x value is always 5. So that's the equation of your line. X equals 5. Okay? All right, please skip to page 14, and let's read what it says. Every linear relationship can be represented in 4 ways, either in words, in a table, in a graph, or in an equation. So in each of the following examples, you are given one representation and you must find the remaining 3 representations. We're only going to do one example right here. So scenario 1, a cable car starts at a height of 700 feet and is descending at a rate of 30 feet per minute. Okay, so when we have a problem like this, we can figure out our information that we need. So first thing I need to do is identify what are my 2 variables. Well, you have a height of 7 feet in terms of feet, right? And then you have time. So every minute, the cable car is descending 30 feet. So we have 2 variables. We have time and we have height. Okay? But the question is, which one is which? Well, you have to ask yourself, which one is the independent variable? The independent variable is time because time will go on no matter what. The dependent variable is height because the height depends on the time. Okay? So that means that x is the time and y is the height. Okay? So at the beginning, when no time has passed, your cable car is at a height of 700 feet. Okay, after 1 minute passes, it's 30 feet lower because it's descending at a rate of 30 feet per minute. So now it's at 670 feet. Okay, after 2 minutes, it's at 640 feet. And after 3 minutes, it's at 610 feet, so on and so forth. So that's how you represent it in a table. Well, how do you represent it in a graph? So first of all, you got to label your axes. Time is your independent variable. So we're going to label this right here as time in minutes, okay? And your height is your dependent variable. So we'll label this as height in feet, okay? Now our maximum height, where it starts off, is 700 feet. So we got to make sure we can fit all the way up to 700 on our graph. So if I go up by 100, it'll fit. So this would be 100, which means that this would be 200, 300, 400 right here, 500, 600, 700, 800, right? So on and so forth, okay? I'm only doing every other box so that it doesn't get crowded, okay? And then time in minutes, I can go up by 1 minute each. So this would be 1, so this would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay? Now what I need to do is graph out my points. Well, at time 0, it was at 700 feet. So this is where it starts off at. And hopefully you understand that this is your y-intercept. It's your starting amount, okay? After 1 minute, it would be at 670 feet, which is right there, okay? And I apologize, it's hard to graph it out accurately on the computer, so try your best while you're doing this, okay? At time 2 minutes, it was at 640 feet. And then after 3 minutes, it was at 610 feet. And it would keep going down by 30 feet every minute. So this is what it would end up looking like right here. Okay? And then you would connect it. You should get a straight line, just like that. And there's your graph. Okay? Now, in an equation, well, y equals mx plus b is the general equation of a linear relationship, where m is the slope. But remember, we also call the slope your rate, okay? How fast something is changing, and b is your y-intercept, but your y-intercept is always your initial amount, okay? So in this problem, your slope is your rate. It's going down at a rate of negative 30 feet per minute, okay? And your y-intercept is your starting amount, so it's 700 feet. So that means that your equation would have to be y equals negative 30x plus 700. Here's the m, here's the b. Okay?